Hi there, thank you so much for joining me today for Kineo Totara office hours. Today we're going to be talking about utilizing dashboards a little bit differently than we normally do. I wish that I could put one of our clients in the spotlight, but he wasn't able to join us today. But he's done a really great job of actually teaching us here at Kineo how to think about dashboards a little bit differently. So we're going to take a look at some examples that I set up and we will go from there. A little bit about myself. My name is Taylor Craig. I'm the platforms consultant here at Kineo US. My job entails training our existing clients, working with our sales team for potential clients, and then also I work with you all the way through the implementation process, and then I get to work with you a little bit afterwards sometimes in some cases. So that is my role here at Kineo. Talk a little bit about how dashboards are typically used and how we've been using them here at Kineo. The way we've been recommending using them is utilizing them as a landing page for different groups of learners. So we've seen some people use them for branding that dashboard, so it's a little bit different for each individual one of their clients that may be taking learning on their site. We've seen people use them where they have a learner dashboard, a manager dashboard, and an administrator dashboard, where it's just the tools that those people need are accessible to them. But the way that our client is utilizing them now, he is utilizing them as kind of an area to market and an area to provide additional information about the learning that is available on their site. So that is how he is utilizing dashboards, and it basically gives him a little bit more flexibility as far as what he can display, and it just looks cleaner. It just looks nicer. So let's take a look. I'm going to show you a version 2.7 site, and I'm going to show you a version 9 site. But I want you to know that the way we set things up in 2.7, that is how you would set it up in 2.9 as well. Okay. So let's take a look. I'm going to start here and show you really quickly kind of the difference here. So in past office hour sessions, we've talked about utilizing a page resource where you have the main menu block on your home page, and then you create a page resource and then link to it and then hide that block. So we've talked about that before. The downside to this is it's kind of scrolly. You don't really get a whole lot. There's a last modified date here at the bottom. You don't really have any options as far as layout is concerned. And here is what it looks like if you utilize a dashboard. Now I've used different images and stuff like that, but depending on your theme. Now one thing to point out, some of you have really customized themes. Some of you have themes that are more core. Nothing wrong with that, but just be aware that the block placement on your dashboards may be a little different. So someone who has a really customized theme, you may have lots of different areas where you can place blocks. Someone with a more standard core theme, you may not have as many locations to place blocks. So just be aware of that. That's not unexpected functionality or behavior. It's just going to depend on what your site has the ability to do. So in my case, I've utilized a dashboard to provide basically the same exact information. It's just a lot cleaner. I've got an image across the top, I've got a banner block here, I've got two other blocks, and then blocks here. Now, this is all utilizing different separate HTML blocks. You can use any block that's available on your site. So if you have carousel sliders, which I know a lot of you do, you can put those in and make it look really nice. And then you can also place in calendar blocks. Any of the blocks that are available on the site, you can place on a dashboard, right? So something to keep in mind and think about. Take a look at what this might look like in a 2.7 site. We've got kind of a similar setup here. So we have the scrolling here. These are all blocks, and then we've placed in a logo, a contact us, a quick link, some social link networking, and options for careers. So it just kind of gives it more of a web page look and feel versus making it look very much like Moodle, right? So it just gives you a little more capability and functionality there. So two things I want to point out when we get into this. Let's take a look. Let's go manage our dashboards. It's gonna function a little bit differently in Totara 2.7 and 2.9 than it functions in version 9. So in version 2.7 and in version 2.9, you have to do a couple of steps. So the first step is creating an audience that has all of your users in it, assuming this is the page that you want to make available to everyone. So you have all of your users, place all of them in there. The way I do a dynamic audience and quickly grab every single person on my site is I set up a rule that is place anyone into the audience that doesn't have an exclamation point in their email or really an exclamation point, something that they're definitely probably not going to have. So we put that in there, and then that will grab everyone who doesn't have that. Okay, so that'll grab everybody on your site that doesn't. Okay, and then on the plus side, anybody who's added and new, it's going to also place them in there as well. So first and foremost, you got to come in here and you got to put the people in the audience. Next, the one thing I want to point out is I'm going to go over here about Kineo. So you'll see here I've placed the URL is index.php !ID equals 15. This is number 15 layout of my dashboards on this page, on this site. Now, one thing to pay attention to, when you actually click on the dashboard, when you're managing this as an administrator, the URL doesn't look that way. The URL says layout.php. If you put the layout.php URL into the main menu so that it can be linked here, learners, even though they're assigned to the audience that is assigned to the dashboard, won't be able to see it because it's taking them to a layout. So basically the edit version, right? So that's why we just have to replace layout with index. That brings you to the non-editable version. So then people are able to see it. So then you can grab that URL, place it into your main menu area. For those of you who may not know what a main menu is, we've talked about it in previous office hours sessions, but it's going to be located underneath site administration, appearance, main menu. And you would just paste that URL with the index, of course, in. And then also with your main menu items, you have the ability to show, but you also, I have it set to show to everybody because that's what I wanted. But remember, you also have the ability to use custom access rules. So if you have just certain splash pages that you want to show to certain groups, you can absolutely do that. Okay. One thing to note also as well, guys, if you have people who are defaulting to dashboards, so they automatically see the dashboard when they come in, they don't actually see the Totara homepage, it is going to default for the homepage dashboard. It will default to the one on top. So any of these additional splash pages, they will need to come towards, they will need to be in the bottom of your dashboard list. Okay. So let's take a look at what's different in version 9 as far as how these dashboards are handled. So we're on the dashboard, we're gonna manage the dashboard. And we're gonna just go into that dashboard to edit. This is gonna be your major difference. In the older versions, you just had to assign it to an audience. That was really all you had the option to do. In version 9, you now have the ability to assign it to available to all logged in users, making it available to everyone. Okay, so you don't have to do that extra step of creating an audience, assigning the audience, yada, yada, yada. It just kind of basically does it for you. I still like to use the layout or the index.php for my URL. Here, you'll notice that I have index. You can use layout in version 9. It's smart enough in version 9 to know that if I'm a learner and I see layout in the URL, it really needs to take them to the index. But I like to use index just because I know for sure that my learners are for sure going to have access. So really, really a cool new use of dashboards. I don't know that's necessarily new, but it's thinking outside of the box, and it's not something that we have really utilized here at Kineo, but I'm sure we will in the future. So thank you to our clients for being innovative and utilizing the system and teaching us. So thank you so much, guys. I'm going to go ahead and turn the floor over to you. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thanks so much for joining me this week. Just a quick reminder, we are not having office hours every Thursday anymore. They are offered every other Thursday. So join me on, I gotta look at my calendar. Golly, October 5th. Join me then. Thanks, guys.